If she's still arguing with you, she's not emotionally checked out. If she's still complaining, she's not emotionally checked out. Emotional checkout is quieter than that. It's when she stops expecting you to understand her and starts emotionally preparing to live without you. Most men don't recognize this stage until it's almost too late. So in this video, I want to help you recognize what's actually happening now and how you can respond in a way that doesn't make her shut down even faster. But before we jump in, if you appreciate me making this type of content, go ahead and gently tap the like button because it genuinely helps the channel out. A lot of men interpret a woman being emotionally checked out as complete indifference on their end. They think that she just does not care about them anymore. But this is actually not accurate. Being emotionally checked out is not the absence of care, but it's actually the presence of exhaustion. So rather than subtracting care, it's an addition of exhaustion on her end. Think about it like this. Emotional engagement costs energy. Aside from time, energy is the most scarce resource that we have. So at some point, her nervous system decided that engaging in trying to get you to understand her emotionally, so explaining herself, reacting, and trying over and over again, just simply isn't worth the cost anymore because she no longer has the energy left in her emotional fuel tank. That energy fuel tank didn't run out because of lack of care. It's because caring stopped getting her anywhere. So instead of fighting or pleading or pushing, she started to conserve her energy. And the easiest way for her to do this is to become disengaged. You can't look at her and start blaming her, saying that she's doing it on purpose. She can't control how her nervous system reacts to that exhaustion finally taking over her body. This is why emotionally checked out doesn't look dramatic as we expect. It actually looks very quiet, flat, and neutral, which is why it is so common to absolutely sneak up on men. And you hear a lot of men saying this came out of nowhere when their wife or long-term girlfriend start to pull away and it becomes a brink of divorce or breakup. That neutrality is often what scares men the most because at least when she's angry, there is a feeling that she's still actively involved emotionally. Men are problem solvers, or at least we're wired to be problem solvers. So as a man, when you start to sense distance, and obviously you really care about her and the relationship, so your instinct is to re-engage. But most common isn't just to re-engage, it's to re-engage at full force by trying to get her to talk more, asking her deeper questions, and initiating connection, putting in that effort that you think has been missing and genuinely explaining how much you care about her. Now, this is helpful and can easily turn around a marriage or relationship if she's not already emotionally disconnected. However, when she's already on that path to being or is completely checked out emotionally, to her, when you do this, it feels like you're grasping for air and it starts to be just a whole bunch of pressure on her shoulders. From a male perspective, what you're doing makes sense because when it's down to its core, she wants more connection with you. So doing all of those things is supposed to create that in your mind. But when she's emotionally checked out, she's not avoiding intimacy, but because of the disconnect of her emotions, all of the intimacy you're trying to force, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but we have to be honest, usually it's because you are scrambling to try and get things back on track. But the intimacy you're trying to force actually makes her feel more like she has to then do more emotional labor to get to that point with you. Because it sneaks up on men, like I was saying, to you, it seems like an easy problem to solve. You just have to show up more. But to her, she's already spent a certain amount of time, which can be months or even years, explaining and asking and hoping and trying her hardest. So when you push for connection now, even if you do it gently, it feels like more and more work being put on her shoulders. That is where her nervous system tells her that she can't continue to do this. So the biggest mistake you can make as a man in this phase is trying to wake her up emotionally. You can't stimulate that reignition through just effort. I've had countless men in my coaching program that always feel so confused because to them, they know their wife deep down still loves them. And as a man, they have the best intentions as well. So their thinking is that if they both want to have a happy relationship, they can put their efforts together to work things out. This does not reverse the emotional shutdown. Emotional shutdown reverses through safety and predictability of you as a masculine leader in the relationship. As much as talking it out with her feels productive to you as a man and to try and process everything through with her by attempting mature communication, if she's checked out emotionally, it doesn't really matter and you're just going to end up spinning your wheels. It's not the words that broke safety in the first place. It's the patterns over time where she learned that expressing herself didn't lead to change. It led to things like defensiveness, emotional collapse, or temporary effort on your end that never lasted. So now when you attempt to talk it through, her body remembers all of that. And instead of opening up, she closes further subconsciously as a reflex. Here's the question she's asking, even without ever even saying it vocally. If I stop managing this relationship, will he still be grounded? That's it. It may sound oversimplified and there can always be intricate nuances involved, but at the end of the day, her body is not asking if you love her or asking if you care about her. And shockingly, to all the mainstream or the advice you get from loved ones, she's not even asking for better communication. All those things are important to a healthy relationship, but first and foremost, her nervous system is asking, subconsciously, whether you can stand on your own emotional feet, or does she have to put on your emotional shoes for you and also tie up your shoelaces as well? Her nervous system needs to know whether you can regulate yourself without her involvement, whether you remain steady when she pulls back, and whether the relationship comes crashing down like a house of cards if she stops being the one who's propping it up. This, at its crux, is what emotional leadership actually looks like. So what do you actually do in this phase? You stop trying to extract emotional engagement from her just so that you can get all the reassurances where you know where the relationship stands. And you have to start becoming more emotionally predictable to her in a way that when enough reps are done through your interactions and you keep showing up like that, you start creating micro moments of emotional safety. If that sounds challenging, it is something that can be done if you show up and commit to doing it properly. That means your mood isn't dependent on her responses. You don't escalate when she's neutral. You don't perform growth just to get her validation. And you don't pressure her to feel differently because it's going to make you more comfortable in the end. That is what starts to create relief, and relief is the gateway back into building that connection. This is also where most men either rise to the occasion and grow, or break and watch everything they built come crumbling down. Because emotionally checked out phases aren't about winning her back. They're about revealing who you are without any emotional feedback. This is all related to identity work. It's nothing to do with tricks or tactics or things you can do to just win her back. You have to ask yourself some questions if you are serious about reigniting a relationship. You have to ask yourself, can you lead yourself when you're not being validated? Can you stay centered when there's no reassurance from her? And can you be grounded when the outcome just simply isn't guaranteed? If you answer no to those questions, but you are actually willing to grow as a man, the faster you dedicate yourself to understanding these concepts, the faster she's going to feel the shift. Unfortunately, given the divorce rate that exists and the amount of couples that are just still together going through the motions but aren't actually happy, most men unknowingly sabotage any chance they have to get their ultimate goal, which is to fix their relationship and live happily, because they are starting down the right path to make those changes. However, they start to crumble when things get uncomfortable. So they don't actually keep up with those changes and be persistent and consistent. So instead, once they get a little bit of resistance, they start over-explaining the changes to her, and they start announcing these realizations, and they start asking her, like, do you see a difference in me now? Which, even if you are starting to change and make those changes, it's still a form of asking for her reassurance. And what they end up doing also is tracking her mood daily and then trying to fix that for her accordingly. She doesn't want reports from you or intensity of your emotions. She wants consistency and steadiness. This containment beats performance and grand gestures every time. If emotional engagement returns, it won't come as a big moment. You will start to see less tension in her, and you'll start to see signs of openness. Most men often miss this because they're waiting for words from her that can reassure them, but you can't wait for that go-ahead from her. You have to focus on building the leadership skills required for yourself and the relationship while learning the dynamic of her feminine energy and how best to allow her to settle in that. And then that allows her to be positively impacted by your leadership. If she's emotionally checked out right now, this phase doesn't respond to effort, it responds to stability. This is exactly the work I do with men inside Relationship Rebuild. In my free masterclass, I will walk you through the step-by-step framework that will teach you how to regulate yourself in real time and build the overall skills to be that leader in your own life and the one your wife has been dying to have. This is the true path to saving your relationship. Click on the link below in the description and watch it today. Also, please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.